This question is for Sandy about the Master Advising Program.
Yeah.
Who exactly is that for? Is that just for professional academic advisors? Is those for aspiring to be advisors, faculty who may be having dual roles in advising, or even personnel from other institutions than ODU? Can you talk a little more about that?
It's all but the last one. It is run through Blackboard. We've had graduate students complete it, the program faculty, and the professional advisors. We've had most of our site directors at the distance learning sites have completed the program. So it is for everybody, anybody who has any contact with students. It doesn't get until the last segment, it doesn't really get into the nitty-gritty catalog, how do you navigate Leo Online, those pieces. It's really more of an overview of the whole concepts of advising and how advising relates to teaching and vice versa. So you can sign up. There is a link on the advising.odu.edu website, and you can sign up for it. It's self-paced, basically. I mean, we do have certain things that if you finish by the end of a semester, you are awarded a certificate and become a master advisor. I do want to let you know that the folks who have won the advising award, in order to be nominated, you have to complete the program, and their prize for winning is they're all going to Denver in October to the National Academic Advisors Association Conference. And our goal ultimately is to get them to start presenting and that sort of thing, but it really does give an overview of advising and just the concepts and student development theory and how that ties into it as well. If not from Old Dominion and you're interested, the National Academic Advisors Association does have a wealth of materials on training and that sort of thing as well.
Can you share with us your advising syllabus? I don't have a clue what that might look like.
Actually, Jennifer Youngkin is going to share hers at the session later, but that's one of the requirements within the Master Advisor Program is to complete or create your own Master Advising syllabus. But it basically outlines your philosophy of advising, and then includes real specifics about what the goals are for advising, what the responsibilities are for the student, what your responsibilities are as an advisor. Help me out here. Any other resources that you want to provide to a student that's in there? How they make appointments with you?
Like you have a course schedule, you'll have the university semester schedule on there, so withdrawal dates and whatnot. So,
yeah. But I think Jennifer and Marina can really tell you a lot at that session about how they're using it.
I wonder if I could get some comment on what your thoughts are with returning students or older students who are coming back. You spoke a bit about folks in the more traditional age. And normally those are folks we drool when we see them come into the classroom, but lately I've actually had some situations where students with so much outside experience as being the leader of some situation, they've been in charge of things, they think they can make their own educational decisions and ignore what you're giving advice in the classroom. And so they don't come to class and they think they can buddy up to you and do things on their own schedule. And I've run into that more and more lately, and I wonder if there's any part of the returning student transition that might deal with, or if there are resources available for those kinds of students.
Actually, Crystal Anderson and Brooke Brown that are here are heading up our transfer student enhancement piece, and typically those are going to be students who are transfer students. They'll be housed in the Student Success Center as well, and are developing programs specifically for that group. We're also looking at developing programming to have available for students at the regional centers and online. But typically, that type of student, from my experience anyway, until they experience some kind of difficulty, are not going to realize that they're in over their heads or that that's what's happening. So it may not happen till the second semester, and you may have to just deal with it the first semester, I'm sorry to say. But there are resources. The students are also guided through an online orientation, especially transfer students. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. When I first got here, as you probably know, preview is not required of transfer students, but there was no benchmark that I knew that students would at least have some information whether you came to an orientation as a transfer student or you didn't. So I created more of a text-based orientation for all transfer students to go through. And then this past year I have worked on a more enhanced transfer online orientation that's a little bit more interactive for students. So all students, all transfer students go through these modules to learn a little bit about the classroom experience, learn about resources that are available to students, and it's really divided into 3 parts. What they need to know now, what they need to know maybe June or July, and what they need to know the week before classes. So it's delivered in those areas. And right now, we're working on that first part now, what do they need to know now. So hopefully we can capture those students and have them get an idea of what that academic journey will be and the kind of the expectations that we're looking for.
And to follow on that, that's one reason those early alert grades are so important on our side, is so if we are seeing a student who is struggling, even an adult student, we will pull them in and have a discussion with them about whatever the issues might be and try to get them to the right resources. Typically for an adult learner, it's the time management piece and just trying to juggle everything. But we have different methods for trying to help them figure that piece out as well.
Question about the transfer online orientation, is that mandatory? And if not, how do you encourage students to go through that? And then either way, what is your participation rate?
It's not mandatory in the sense that something horrible will happen to you if you don't go through it, but the bonus is this. When a student does complete the modules, our office automatically updates their information into Blackboard, which allows them to take their writing sample placement test. And if you don't take your writing sample placement test as a transfer student, a hold will be placed on your record. So therefore, sort of innately, that is the way we get students to go through it. I would say in the past 4 years that we've done this, I've only had 2 complaints from students who had to go through the online, and that was because I threw some quizzes in there to see if they were paying attention. But that was the reason, not because they didn't have to go through it, but because they actually were being measured as they were going through. And I've had students tell me that they bookmark that page so they can go back to it, because that way they don't have to navigate the entire ODU website. They can go to the online orientation and find what they need right there. So that is, and I would say, last year I had almost 1,900 transfer students go through the online orientation that were admitted for fall. So my guess, I probably missed 500 or so, but I know there was 1,900 that completed it.
I have a question about the early alert grades. So I post my grades early, but I don't know what happens after that. What kind of intervention do you actually do?
Okay. Actually, the table next to you are most of the success advisors who do that work. When we get the list, we compile the list and we weed out, if the student has just 1 grade below a C, our data has shown that we don't have to worry about them as much, although the data this last time I'm starting to question that too. But typically what we do then is filter it out, and any student with 2, 3, 4, maybe there's 5 grades below a C, we will definitely try to track them down. We've partnered with Residence Life particularly because they're living right there. They know their comings and goings, and so the residence hall directors have really been helpful. This next year, we're going to really divide that up and do some communication so that we know who's followed up with whom. That's been one of our issues, is not being able to track that as well. But we think we've come up with a mechanism to do that. But the interventions really are a one-on-one sit down with the student and just kind of lay it out and ask them. We start off with the strengths again. Wow, you're getting an A in this course. This faculty member is seeing something, you've turned in an assignment and you've done really well. What is it that you're doing there that you can transfer to this course? And what is it about this course that you're having difficulty with? And sometimes it's just simply referring them to the tutoring. Other times it's referring them to the learning styles inventory. We have them go do that. A lot of times we do get into a discussion about why they've chosen that major that requires that particular course. And a number of times it boils down to the student just saying, I just need to take something, I just picked something, or my parents really want me to be an engineer. or a doctor or whatever it might be. So we start to turn that communication with the student into something more positive and try to build on their strengths and get into the deeper conversation about what it is that they really want to do, what are the goals for their lives. Had they even thought about it? Most students, all through, I know with even my children, all the way through, it's to get into college. A lot of students haven't thought about what happens once they're here. And yet again, what happens when they graduate? My daughter freaked out when she was graduating from college because she didn't know what she wanted to do. So of course, graduate school came up. So a lot of times, it's really helping students through that critical thinking, and I'm glad that's one of the topics on the schedule as well, because they haven't had the time to do that self-reflection, or if they're traditional age students, it's been done for them by somebody else. And especially in orientation in the summer, and the advisors will tell you stories. I know Billy's going to talk about this in her session, about the influence of the parents and the conversations that you have with the parents, because they are the ones who are paying the bill, and they think that they should control what's going to happen with that particular student. And and we know that students are going to do what they want to do ultimately, and they need to take ownership of that. This is that point in their lives where they're learning to be real adults and take that responsibility. Some are ready developmentally and some are not. So it's working with them through those processes. Long answer to a short question, sorry. But that's a hot topic. And we also, at the end of the first semester, a freshman who finishes the first semester in academic difficulty is required to enroll in a success course that we offer. It's a 0 credit all semester course that really focuses on study skills and all of these things, exploring who they are, what they want to be, setting the goals. And that's really the advising piece. A lot of folks, and I've been here a long time, they thought advising was picking out courses. That's not it. It's these other things. That's the end product, is helping them pick courses to meet all of these other things. And now that we have DegreeWorks, which is the online tool that helps students do degree planning, we've been able to shift a lot more of our conversations to the goal setting and career exploration, that sort of thing.
You're talking about students who are C or below. We've noticed that many of those students have those grades not because of academic difficulties, but because of things going on home, or boyfriend or girlfriend broke up with them, or whatever the case may be. What is your approach in handling those situations where it's not an academic success course is not going to assist in those issues, rather it's more of a psychosocial issue that's occurring in the students' lives? Actually,
you'd be surprised. Some of the advisors, we have kind of a joke that they open a vein because when they do meet with the advisor, it's a small group. There's probably, I think we have a cap of 19 or 20 on the course, and they start to develop a relationship. The facilitators, and we don't really call them faculty as much as we call them facilitators, the advisors who do the classes, try to get to know the students on a more personal level so that they'll feel more comfortable opening up. And when part of the whole syllabus includes a week or two there where they come in for individual meetings with the facilitator. And at that point, especially if they've shown up on the early alert list, we can start getting into more deep conversations. If it starts getting into those types of things, we refer to the Women's Center, to the counseling services, to some of the, like the Catholic campus ministries, all the different areas on campus that can help students out with those issues. A lot of times, it might be educational accessibility. The student may have had some learning disabilities that were diagnosed in high school, but the parents, for one, have said, oh, you don't want to do that in college. And there's a stigma attached to that, but we really try to talk with the student about getting back to the learning styles. It's not, it's just the way you learn, and if you're eligible for these accommodations, you need to take full advantage of them.